he hasn't been on the show in the last month, so I kind of wanted to get your kind of feedback on what you've seen from the defense as far as the progression. Because the one thing we talked about this year is the kind of the youth movement that we had defensively specifically. What have you kind of seen as far as a growth and a progression since the last time you were on the show, Eric, to what you're seeing like now? Like for example, Karlaftis, last 5 games, 4 sacks, and we're starting to see him really come on and start to to kind of get used to the NFL speed. So what have you kind of seen from the progression from the defense, Eric and guys?
It's kind of like last year. Like the defense steps up in the third tricep of the season. And in the beginning, it was all like our defense is giving up this amount of points, giving up this many plays. It was like that for the last few years, even when we had Tyrann Mathieu and some of the other guys that we've lost. But when it comes closer to the playoffs, we find a way to show what we're capable of doing. And right now, a lot of these guys the younger guys are stepping up and they're making the plays that we brought them in to do. I love the speed that we're bringing. I love the physicality that these guys is bringing. Chris Jones has been phenomenal for the last couple of years and continue to show it. I even like what Frank's doing outside now. So it's good to see at this time of the year because we know we're getting closer to the playoffs. And hell, we're the favorite right now.
Yeah. So when you talk about the speed of the game, and we said this at the very beginning of the season, is we didn't quite know what this thing was going to look like. But what I liked about it was Spags was kind of putting things together to get these young guys to play faster. And a lot of it had to do with him just trusting the secondary, the young guys that was going to be in there, to say, hey, look, if I put you in this situation, I'm putting you in a situation that I believe that you're going to be able to get this thing done. And so we've seen the guys, especially in the secondary, starting to play faster, starting to play with a lot more confidence than what they did at the first of the season, which is going to be key when you come down the stretch, especially going into the playoffs, right? Because we're going to see, look, it's going to be a monster receiver. When playoff comes time, monster receivers are going to be showing up, right? The ones that make the plays, they're going to be the ones that want to go out there and put on the pedestal to make all the plays. Now, look, I say this. I still want to see a little bit more from the D-line. And I'm not talking about Chris Jones. We know Chris Jones has been phenomenal. He's been a beast, absolutely unstoppable. Karlaftis can start doing a better job. Carlos Dunlap is doing a hell of a job. The other ones, like the D tackles and stuff like that, I think that rotation is going to come. I think with these games that's been playing for the last couple of weeks, you're starting to see a little bit more rotations, right? We have Vic Shelton came in last week. The first time we seen him, and a big body. I watched him play, man. That joker takes 2. He's a big body that takes 2. And that takes a lot from the line, O-line getting on the linebackers. And so when you have Bolton, who's the 5th leading tackle in the NFL right now, which is just crazy. I mean, he's somewhere around there. I mean, he's just playing phenomenal. Willie Gage is playing lights out too, playing fast. This defense, I think, when it comes to the playoffs, man, they are going to hump. They are going to be the ones I think is going to be able to get us over the hump. Seriously.
Yeah, I like to echo a little bit on that too, man. I believe that with the defense, it's kind of like how baseball is when you catch fire, at the right time in the playoffs and things like that, and you get hot. The defense is getting there. I think that they're. I like the play of, like you said, Frank Clark, Dunlap, Chris Jones, all doing their things up front. I even like how they're starting to gel at like the right time. It's going to be, I don't mind if they're not doing their thing, early on in the season, but we got to tighten it up as we get down the stretch, like you said. And then I like the play of Juan Thornhill in the backfield. I think he's coming around a lot, and he's becoming the leader that we need him to do or be in secondary. Kind of like how Tyrann was for us.
Yeah, I mean, heck, our identity is our offense, starting with Patrick. And so I think everybody expects defensively us to keep things up to par with what the offense does. No, there's no team in the NFL right now that's that well balanced. Dallas for a while had the supposedly best defense. And all of a sudden, you see all these big plays that are created on Dallas, and it's about the offense having to put up more points. So it's hard to complement the offense when offenses are so complex, like they're so designed. You got so many double moves, and it's so hard to cover receivers nowadays with so much changing within the rules and regulations. So it's going to be hard to shut offenses down. So yeah, we want to get more stops. We want to prevent more big plays, and I think we've done that here in the later part of the season, and it's happening at the right time. Are we going to give up big plays, give up touchdowns? 100%. You can't stop an offense completely.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Being a defending player, what would be the ideal number to keep it under to win a game, right? Because offensive, we're thinking about scoring points. We're thinking about, like, this is the number of points we had to score to win the game, right? I know y'all defensively, y'all in y'all room, y'all saying the same thing. So what would you say realistically?
I honestly think a great defense is going to hold it to an average of 17 points. It sounds like a lot, but then again, it isn't. Okay. Because it's hard to stop points from being put on the board.
Right.
Whether it's, if I want to, if I'm a receiver, I can run a play down the sideline and just bump into a corner to get a pass interference like he tried to do it. And that's, can get me, depending on where I get the contact at, 20, 60 yards down the field. And that's, 3 points, 6 points. Yeah. So it's hard to stop points. But there's, a lot of talent on our team to where we've been making some key plays. And that's about what it is, making key plays. You're not going to stop plays, but you can make some key stops.
Yeah. And I think that's the reality of it. The reality is, look, guys get paid on the other side. Like you said, they're going to score points. They're going to have some chunks out there. But it's got to be one of those bend, don't break type of defenses, right? We're sitting over saying, you said 17 points. If we know we got a high-powered offense that's going to score over 20-some points, even if you keep it under 21 or, somewhere around there, Chiefs should win, right? I mean, that should be – we should. That should always be like knowing under this amount of points, Chiefs should win this game handily. Like, it shouldn't even be close. And just we know as far as what we're looking at in the AFC, okay? It's always going to be the Bills. We're talking about the Bengals, right? We don't know if the Ravens, I don't think what's Ravens going to come back. I wouldn't. I'm just going to say it right now. If I was Lamar, for real, I ain't touching the field. I just ain't going to do it. It's not going to happen until they pay his money. But those are the offenses that you're kind of looking at, shoot. And so when you see those things, you're sitting there saying, like, look, can we keep these guys under, 21 points and 17 points like you're saying? And I think the defense definitely can do it. I think you have the guys enough on defense that can hold a team like that under 21 points.
JD, it's at a time right now to where and rightfully so, the NFL has created, these rules to where you can't hit a guy to jar the ball out. If you come up with a big hit, and you hurt that dude, or the ball comes out and it looks like a violent hit, that's a penalty and sometimes an ejection.
Yeah.
And so there's not a lot of fear if I'm a receiver to say, okay, I'm gonna get hit. Now, if I do get hit, it kind of unlikely it's gonna happen. So I can take the chance at laying out for this pass or going across the middle or running that slant and not worry about the big hit coming. So I can make those phenomenal one-hand catches and make myself look good with all these some of these plays. And on top of that, as a defender, you can't touch that dude after 5 yards. Receivers are by far the fastest players on the field.
Yeah.
You got a little Tariq Hill that's running a 3.6 40, and he's past 5 yards. It's hard to stop that.
Yeah.
There's not 90% of the league can't keep up with him, and it's shown from the production he's got. And it's like that with a lot of the guys because it's the NFL has turned into we have to protect our image, but we also have to protect by protecting these offensive guys. And on top of that, the number one guy we got to protect is the quarterback. And we've seen some embarrassing calls to where a guy was either landed on a quarterback, threw a quarterback, got up in his face too close, and it's a penalty. You know, you got to let the quarterback be himself, make the throws, not get hit. On top of that, you got the receivers that have this freedom to do whatever after 5 yards. And this defender has to sit there and react to everything that he does without touching him. And on top of that, when he does have the ball come his way, you can't hit him hard. You know, that's the old NFL. You know, the new NFL is you got to make a play. Let him catch it, make the play.
Right. D, what do you think? You got any thoughts on some of that?
I mean, yeah, I really don't like the way it is, the no touch, and they really changed the game a lot. I like football with contact. I don't really like how they babied it in a sense, you know. But it's the game. I if you want to talk about what I really don't like the kickoff. I mean, you hardly don't ever get a kickoff return anymore because everything is always touchbacks. So to put that ball back up there so we can get some returns and bring some excitement back to the game. Get a great return or a great 40-yard, 50-yard return. You know, back in the day we used to have that kind of stuff, but now you can't get that, or you can't hardly even touch a player. I mean, you know, you got to be a quarterback of a name to get the call too.
Oh yeah, that's
it's I don't know. I just watch.
But DeJuan though, in the decades that you've been in, the decades that you've been in Kansas City, I don't know how many guys that you've talked to that have had the issues of CTE. It's real. It's real, man. I've had some guys that I played with that have passed on, and I've had some. I got some guys that I played with early on in my career that are dealing with some real issues. So I understand what they want to do to protect the players.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it's to a point to where it's not the same old football that we grew up on.
Right. Let me respect that CTE too, man, because after selfishly as I watch as a fan, I want to see more of the football we kind of grew up on. But you do have to respect that aspect of it and the effects that it has on people after they get done playing. So I can understand the way they have to curb the game to protect the image of the game and also to protect the players that play. So I get it. It's just selfishly I want to see a little more excitement.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that, you know, some of the 5 yards off, I mean, they can let the receiver in the corner fight a little bit more.
I agree.
You can't touch him. You know, I get it. After you get down the field, you ain't supposed to do that, but let them get down on the line a little bit like they used to.
Yeah. I think, and I kind of agree with E on this, as far as saying like the quarterbacks, as far as how they're protected. Like we've seen some really bad calls, like you said, of guys like the whole roughing the passer, putting your weight on a guy, right, or something. Like, to me, I think it's a little bit that's a little bit much. It's a little bit ridiculous. Okay, and when it's up to the referee to know, well, did he put 50% of his weight on him or 75% of his weight? Like, how much weight was it to make that call? I think it's just it gets a little bit crazy because there's no real baseline on how you make that call, right? It's not consistent, and so it's when it's like in the eye of the beholder to make that call, then it gets really messy. The whole thing, I think, it's bad for football in itself, unless it's just blatantly that it's a pass, like roughing the passer. I don't think it should be called, really.
Oh, true. So the thing that really we had the one with Chris Jones. He rolled the guy over.
Yes.
That was called pitiful. That's just, I don't get it. And one of them that really stuck out to me was on a Tua hit. He didn't get hit. He was shoved and actually hit his head on the ground. Now, it's not the defender's fault that you hit your head on the ground, but it's your fault that he's got a concussion and got to come out the game. So you get flagged for it. Well, how else do you want me to hit this guy? I didn't put my pads on him. I just shoved it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Just because he fell awkwardly, hits his head on the ground, I get penalized for it.
Yeah. What do you think about the rule about the guys going down with the injury? Because that could be a little bit messy too. Because who's the determining factor if a guy's really hurt or not, right? Who makes that decision that this guy didn't have a cramp in his, in his calf muscle, right, to kind of stop the play? Like that, and I think when you start to say, well, we're gonna find guys for that or whatnot, and I think it's because they're trying to protect the sport. Right? They want the tempo of the game to keep going, the rhythm of it. But then if a guy is hurt for real, and somebody pulls out a flag and say, well, look, we're going to find this guy because we think he was just laying down on us, which he may not be. I just don't like when sometimes they bring some of these rules in, like mid-season, and they start talking about it. It ain't really clear, as far as like how they're going to do things. I just think it just sets a bad precedent as far as how they do the officiating in the NFL, really.
Yeah. Well, they've been getting a lot of excuse my language. They've been getting a lot of shit this year from so many calls and a lot of bad calls too.
As they should. There's been some terrible ones out there now. There's some terrible ones out there.
Yeah, I think on Monday night the DeJuan James hit on that Colts receiver. That was like right away they ejected him for that, and I was like, I've never seen that in the NFL before. Right away where they eject a guy for a helmet to helmet hit. What did you?
Well, you're not supposed to lead with your helmet, but the thing that I noticed with the DeJuan James said he caught dude on the shoulder.
Mm.
Either way, the thing is you can't lead with your helmet. I mean, that's supposedly more harm to you as it is to that person.
Yeah. DeJuan James was trying to knock that sucker out.
Oh yeah.
Always.
So and he took the brunt of the hit. To be honest, he stumbled. They just had to. Yeah. He was leaving. He didn't know why he was leaving. They were like, "Hey, where am I going? I'm taking the locker room." Okay, shoot. Well, but that was like one of those bone crushing hits that we're used to. What we used to see, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Ooh, like man, have you seen this hit?" I mean, when I'm telling like the texts were coming in from different people saying that, "Did you see that hit, JD?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. He tried to take his head off." Mm-hmm. So, but. Yeah, man, protect the game. I get that 100%.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.